A major new development tonight that's so darn confusing but so critical that claims that Nancy Pelosi is leading President Donald Trump on in the stimulus negotiations to sideline something else and erode the Senate Republicans. It's so incredibly confusing that I went to the casino to see if I can get some guidance. I went to the bar and there was, sirloin. I said, "Hey, sirloin, can you move over?" He's like, "Sure, go on." I said, I want to explain to you something I read in this incredible report tonight from Axios. It says that Nancy Pelosi is basically trying to jam up the Senate in the midst of a Supreme Court confirmation hearing so that procedurally Mitch McConnell can't get his Supreme Court nominee passed by doing a lot of Nancy Pelosi walk dances, and that she's also trying to divide the Republican Party on the eve of the election by having them get split down lines because no one wants to go to $2 trillion on a stimulus package. You follow that? No, I'm a cow. I'm not supposed to understand that. I understand grass and I understand milk, but that all sounds utterly silliness. I mean, I don't really understand this, sirloin. I mean, this is just incredibly confusing, even to me, myself, and all three versions of me. Can you translate this for me? He said, "Well, if it gets me a Cadillac, it sounds really quite good." Hi, good evening, everybody. This is Evenings LALATE, and boy, I find all the nuances you need to know, and this is a major nuance. In a scandal that is far from over, this is Evenings LALATE, and something you have never heard of until tonight. This is breaking, shocking, scandalous, and actually sort of, salacious information. Go to the Funnest channel, subscribe. In a night in which second stimulus check and stimulus package is about to get as crazy as a 25th Amendment congressional press conference. And also like this video, because I am not worthy of 25th Amendment, maybe First Amendment, but that's about it. Let's get to the details, which I'll be going over in this video. First, is Trump being set up to divide his own party on the eve of the election? A major new report tonight says the entire plot by Nancy Pelosi is to divide the Senate and make them cannibalize each other so that they all get thrown out and that she wins the Senate. Second, is Trump trying to give away the kitchen sink to save himself, and is Nancy Pelosi setting him up to do it? Third, is Pelosi trying to bait a fake stimulus deal to block a Supreme Court nominee hearing in the Senate? I told you this is a good broadcast, folks. And fourth, is Wall Street sort of laughing at the entire stimulus negotiation, or are we laughing at them? Boy, I told you this is a great broadcast, and there's a reason why it's a little bit late. After this is Purple Power, which will be a continuation of all these shocking details. Let me get to them right now. First, Mitch McConnell told Kentucky people at a chicken and waffles event that, quote, it's unlikely that there's going to be stimulus in the next 3 weeks. Well, okay, that was one thing. Then he also said he really wants a stimulus package. But he also said that Nancy Pelosi's bill is showing that she's not really serious. Ironically, her bill tonight is the same bill that it was 4 days ago when he said that comment. Nancy Pelosi's bill has not changed. She's still at $2.2 trillion, the same number she's been at since July, in which McConnell has called that bill everything that you can call something that is, more crazy than lobsters in Kentucky. And that is where Mitch is with the equation. But how about Donald? A new report claims that Mitch is not happy with the situation and that Trump might be being set up to divide his own party. Now, understand here that Donald Trump is a Republican. He's also head of the Republican Party. He's seen as the leader of the Republican Party, and that the Republicans in the Senate now feel that Nancy Pelosi might be setting up Donald Trump to cannibalize the Senate's stranglehold coming into the election. What does this mean? It means that Nancy Pelosi, one, doesn't really want a stimulus package deal, that she's basically baiting and switching the president, setting him up, giving him false hopes, leading him on through Steve Mnuchin, who a lot of people think is a little bit gullible sometimes. Second, it means that there is really no support among Republicans in the Senate where Donald Trump is. If this sounds new, it shouldn't. I detailed over the last week that Chuck Grassley, the number 2 guy in the Senate, Republican, GOP, said, you know what? There's a lot of Republicans who won't support anything. There's some Republicans who will go to $1 trillion. There's a few that'll go to 1.5, but there's no one who's going to go over 1.5. Well, guess where the president is tonight? 1.8. Why is the president 1.8 if the Senate is not going to approve it? Ironically, there's upwards of 30 Republican senators who want to give 0, apparently. Then there's a whole cluster mess that apparently will go somewhere between 1 and 1.5 if you pull them kicking and screaming and maybe throw them some $12 ice cream. But the rest won't absolutely categorically go to where the president is now. And apparently Nancy's salivating at this because she thinks that she can make senators sort of cannibalize each other. Remember Susan Collins? She slammed the president, slammed fellow Republicans last week saying, you need stimulus right now, do it right now. Well, apparently other Republicans were sitting back saying, who's her? We don't know her. We don't know her. We're not giving stimulus. Keep her quiet. Put her out, have her go out with sirloin in the front and, I don't know. Tip some cows. This is the first part. Second, Nancy apparently is leading Trump on to believe that he can give away the kitchen sink to save himself. Donald Trump is down the polls. This is what Nancy Pelosi is betting on, that Donald Trump will be down, 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 and he is. He's going backwards in the polls, and that ultimately she's hoping that she could just stay exactly where she's been since July, and that ultimately he'll give her the kitchen sink. One of the viewers dropped me a comment minutes ago before I sat down to record this and said, well, what will happen if President Trump does agree upon something and then loses in the election? Or what happens if he doesn't agree upon something and then he loses in the election? Will he give stimulus? It's a big question. Some people think that if Donald Trump loses the election, he categorically will not give you a stimulus package as a lame duck president over the next couple months. Next, is Pelosi trying to bait and switch Donald into even negotiating for stimulus when she has no purpose to actually get a deal, when she has no intention of having a deal, for the entire strategy of blocking a Supreme Court nominee? Now, this is the point at which the cows are starting to get together and herd. They're like, this is a little confusing. Can you explain this to me? What is this? What? They're saying that you're never going to get a deal out of Pelosi that Republicans support. So do you really want to divide the Republican Party within days of elections? A source close to the Senate leadership about McConnell said to Axios. But then this continues. The entire exercise from Pelosi is basically trying to jam up the Senate in the midst of the Supreme Court confirmation. They know, this is Pelosi's group, they know from a procedural standpoint McConnell can drive this train, the Supreme Court nominee, to conclusion. So what Pelosi's group, is trying to do is throw as many roadblocks in that way as possible. And the best way is to get the president to focus on some extraneous issue. Oh boy, I'm sure you hating that expression, extraneous issue, referring to your stimulus check. Pelosi's out there doing 25th Amendment crap today. Does this sound like a lady who wants to do a deal? There's no way McConnell's taking his eye off the ball. Republicans are intensely focused on the Supreme Court. What does this basically mean? Let me translate this incredibly confusing narrative to you. It's basically claiming that Pelosi's trying to, one, have the focus of the president talk about stimulus and not Supreme Court nominee. Two, detract his party from focusing on the Supreme Court nominee, not on stimulus, not on Supreme Court nominee. Third, potentially get a deal between Mnuchin and Trump for stimulus, send that over to the Senate, and suddenly say, you got to work on our stimulus bill. Don't work on the Supreme Court nominee. Work on us first. And hope that jams up and locks up the Supreme Court nominee because there's only a certain number of days before the election. And that ultimately neither things get approved. That's dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Oh my goodness. Senate Republicans, including McConnell, have been left out of the negotiations, and they're not happy, says the same report. Boy, now, let me turn to a new report. Is Wall Street, this is additionally what I talked to you about, is Wall Street really not interested in stimulus, or is stimulus not really interested in Wall Street? Well, Jim Cramer tonight again spoke about stimulus and again spoke about the bifurcation, which I have been speaking about for over a week, that Wall Street is a separation between, big companies and then small operators. And he's saying we've had a big run this week on the stock market. So I'm concerned there's a little bit too much complacency about anything coming from Washington and not enough support or interest in the higher quality stocks that don't need any stimulus. What he's saying is he thinks Wall Street's a little bit too optimistic about a stimulus package, and that they're trying to use stimulus as an excuse to raise stocks that actually have nothing to do with stimulus. If that sounds confusing, let me explain it to you again. The president is gauging your need for stimulus based upon how the stock market's going. We got that. That's pretty easy. So the president wakes up, he looks at the stock market. Oh, the stock market's up. Well, maybe they don't need stimulus. Maybe I don't need to do an executive order. We know this is the case because Larry Kudlow has said this. Larry Kudlow says, well, stock market's up. We maybe don't need stimulus, but it still would help. But it would still, he always has that but at the end of the sentence. Well, this is the catch. The stocks that the president's looking at, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, don't need stimulus. And in fact, they will do fine without stimulus. The problem is that you need stimulus, and the president's not looking at indicators of you to gauge whether or not stimulus is needed. And what's important to understand is that Jim Cramer, on his Mad Money segment tonight, actually had a picture of Nancy and Steve right next to him. It looked like an episode of Pelosi versus Mnuchin from this channel. It just wasn't in purple. And it said on Monday, Pelosi versus Mnuchin negotiations. It's like, okay, thanks for tuning in, Steve. Jim, I appreciate it. He said that Monday everyone's going to be looking at what did Pelosi and Mnuchin get done over the weekend and what did they get done on Monday. But when he looks at what else is happening later next week, he says a lot of it has nothing to do with stimulus. Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, Johnson & Johnson, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs all report earnings next week. And when you're going through all these fundamentals of these companies, which I'm not going to go through, for example, United Airlines reports on Thursday, I think, next week. He says, Chitin Cramer says, if we don't get a stimulus package that includes the airlines or at least some limited bailout, you're going to hear bad things when United Airlines talks. It's going to be a very bad call. But the rest of them, it's going to be much of nothing, he says. They don't need stimulus. If you don't realize what's happening tonight, it's been a very dark day here in LA, not because of the Temple Dew, but because there's not been a lot of sunlight. And so as a result, there will not be a Purple Power broadcast tonight. I may try to do something inventive, though, so stay tuned for that as well. But let me give a message for Purple Power in the event that I can't figure out how to get around lack of light. First, it's important to understand, Purple Power, that the focus needs to be going into the weekend executive orders. I do believe that Nancy Pelosi is leading the president on. I do believe that Nancy Pelosi is never going to move off of $2.2 trillion. I do believe that there's no reason for Nancy Pelosi to move off of $2.2 trillion. She doesn't inherently want to give stimulus in a way that we want her to give a stimulus. She wants to give stimulus for the purposes of getting Joe Biden elected. And so ultimately, Purple Power, do your thing for executive orders. Don't get off book. Purple Power, tell the president, do stimulus checks. She's setting you up. Don't go down a path with Nancy, President. Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, Larry Kudlow, Pete Navarro, do the executive orders. It's the weekend. That's when you do executive orders. Stimulus checks, $1,200, $2,400 for married couple, $500 for dependents is not enough. Let's do $1,200 for dependents. You know what? While we're at it, let's do $2,000 stimulus checks. You got enough money. Let's do it. Send them out. Write the executive orders this weekend. Send them out starting on Monday. We would get them in 10 days. We would get them by the time in which we vote. And guess what? It would help you get reelected if that's what you want to do. If you don't, don't send us stimulus checks and we'll just choose someone else. FPUC. FPUC, you have enough money to do FPUC, retroactive to late July. So let's do FPUC. Let's do it and let's get it out. Problem Solver spoke tonight in a tweet minutes ago before I recorded. And you know what? I'm not happy with the problem solvers. All they do is issue press releases about a proposal that they wrote in a PDF, which we've talked about as a problem solvers bill. But let's be frank, not one senator, Republican or Democrat or House member in that problem solvers caucus had the balls to actually introduce the bill to their floor of their congressional body and push it for a vote. All they have done is issue nice press releases to say, push, push, push. They're doing basically what the Purple Power is doing, just not as good as us. Next, delegates. Delegates are heating up, so if you need someone to assist you, if you need to find a delegate, go into Twitter's search bar and type in hashtag the letters of your state, space, hashtag LALATE. So, for example, California, hashtag PCAA. Let's try that again. Hashtag PCA space hashtag LALATE. And with that, you'll be able to find someone who is a self-appointed individual. I don't oversee them. I don't give them guidance. They are here to help you find grants locally, grants for rent, food, housing, stimulus. They'll also perhaps provide you assistance on how to answer questions for unemployment in your state, or give you some guidance as to where to find people that can also assist you. Also, if you want to be a delegate, start tweeting out hashtags like that as well, and make it very clear that you're a person to help. As always, do not post information that's financial data on the internet. Keep it in private, in Instagram, direct messaging inside of Twitter. Let me answer some of your incredible questions from last night. Casey, they couldn't give us debit cards or at least $500 a month, so they're passing on a second stimulus check. Martha, everyone's getting food stamps and groceries are getting higher, maybe $1,200. It could be $2,000. Vanessa, I'm getting excited, and then get let down again. Cynthia, American billionaires, leaders cut off $600 a lifetime. Pamela, now he feels nervous. Millions of people are feeling nervous. Laura, I believe it when I see it. Sherry, $2,000 for 6 months. Family of 5 hazard pay. Corby, yes, she can have whatever she wants on the bill as long as she puts in there for each American $2,000 retroactive for 6 months. I love that. Tina, send out stimulus checks now. Linda, sad we need to go to the range and help for people. Lydia, I wonder if any politician reads comments from American people. Daniel, let's push the issue. Melinda, executive orders. Michael, I don't understand how people can get no relief. Ted, let's see if this fairy tale will happen. I don't believe Nancy. Elizabeth, tomorrow's Friday. He's done executive orders on Friday in the past. He has. Jody, even with the stimulus check for so many, it would be too little too late. We need the stimulus checks right now. If you have questions in tonight's video, go somewhere. Go drop a comment below. Not up. Drop a comment below. Let's try that again. If you have a comment to tonight's video, drop a comment below. Also, subscribe to this channel. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe, because we are a Purple Power community. We're here to help each other. We're here to get through it together. And, who else makes themselves look like a jack-o'-lantern in low lighting in the middle of the night? Also, like this video. Coming up potentially might be Purple Power with a twist. I don't know. If not, see you tomorrow morning on Mornings LALATE. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.